Welcome back to Jom Discuss, the news and culture show where we cover everything and anything in our world today. In this episode, we talk women and the struggles of being in the entertainment industry. So tune in and Jom Discuss. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Jom Discuss. Today we have Asyraf.
Hello.
And Malaysia's funniest woman, Mirosha.
Oh my god, I'm not. Hi guys.
Okay, if you guys didn't know, the reason why I call Mirosha Malaysia's funniest woman is because this past week during International Women's Day, Mirosha was part of an all-female lineup at One Mic Stand. Well, how was the experience actually?
It was good. It was new because it was my very first stand-up comedy act. So I was pretty nervous, and it was alongside 9 other women, and they were all funny and stuff. And many of them have been doing it for years. I think like about 3 to 4 of them have been doing it for some time and were so experienced. And so I was really nervous because before that I have done humorous speeches, but speeches are so different from stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is like, you gotta just be coming up with joke after joke after joke, and you gotta finish it with a bigger joke. And I was so afraid that, what if they don't think I'm funny? And if you're giving speeches, if they don't laugh, it's fine, because as long as there's a message in the speech. But comedy, if they don't laugh, you're screwed. So I was nervous, but it was good for a first time experience.
Yeah, for those of you that are listening and that wasn't there, take note that actually Mirosha was really good. So
Okay,
congrats on
thank
your
you.
first time. Yeah, so first of all, women in comedy. I think that women, in this day and age, a lot of people talk about the women in comedy being the latest big thing with Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Amy Schumer, all coming up, and they're saying there's this new renaissance with women in comedy. But I think if you take away last week's International Women's Day at One Mic Stand, where it was an all-female lineup, every other day is probably
These guys.
probably male-dominated, right?
Mostly, yeah. That's why they told me. They were like, we need more girls, guys. Please come back.
It is a very male-dominated area.
Why do you think that is?
I think when I had to think about this topic, right, I wasn't too sure on like what angle to look at it, because it's not as simple as who's the better comedian, like women or men. I think it boils down to what kind of humor that people appeal to it, like maybe I don't know if this is true, because I need your opinion, right? Because you're in the scene. So like, is it true that women's humor are fairly different than men's humor?
Alright, the thing is, it really depends on the audience, but most of the time when it comes to stand-up comedy itself, right, people just think that racist jokes and sex jokes are the only two main things that you expect when it comes to stand-up comedy. So when women actually crack these kind of jokes, you can see generally people perceive them to be inappropriate. When it comes to your question about the kind of jokes that women crack, right, I'd say it's because many people, even my friends even ask me, are you sure you want to go for it? Because you don't tell sex jokes, so I don't know if they're going to laugh. So it is a lot harder to tell jokes that have a bit of substance compared to color jokes and sex jokes, because anybody can swear away and throw in some profanities and people would just start laughing.
Yeah, definitely in stand-up comedy especially, racism and sexism is something so common.
Common.
80% of stand-up comedy, it revolves around some sort of race or sexist jokes, especially at the lower levels.
Russell Peters is all about
exactly.
race jokes.
So
Yeah.
do you think that the sexist nature of stand-up comedy sort of discourages women from entering that profession?
It does. I mean, even I thought twice about it. I was like, it's more of a guy thing. I mean, before I even tried it out, I was like, I don't know if it will be appropriate for me to even try stand-up comedy, because even in movies, you look at funny guys, there are so many more, like Jack Black and others. But now if you see new funny people like Melissa McCarthy, the one from
Yep.
The Heat and Bridesmaids, and then it's just her, and then there's another one, I forgot her name, besides Melissa McCarthy. There is Amy Schumer also, acts.
Amy Schumer
and all.
is quite...
Mindy Kaling is acting, but if there's someone that has always been there, it's been funny, and I really look up to, and she really, broke the whole stereotype about people telling sex and racy jokes to be funny, is Ellen DeGeneres. If you look at her old stand-up comedy and also the way she handles her show, she's hilarious, and you don't see her using profanities, and you don't see her directly insulting anyone specific, but she's just funny the way she is. So it is possible for women to be funny even if you don't say all those kind of jokes.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so obviously we're talking about slightly more mainstream comedians lah. We're not talking about the ones that are at the grassroots levels in US because we are exposed to like the only really famous ones. And one of the really famous ones, like we mentioned earlier, is Amy Schumer. And Amy Schumer, do you guys like Amy Schumer? Or have you been exposed to Amy Schumer at all?
I think she's relatively funny, and I don't know. I guess we could say this in a guy's perspective because apparently we don't have like a person in your head straight away when you think of like a stand-up
Female comedian.
comedian. Right? Like you think, especially when you're talking about acts which are international. You ask any guy, hey, do you know any comedians from the States? I said, yeah, I mean Kevin Hart, that guy's damn funny. Like
funny.
Russell Peters, and then women, yeah, Tina Fey. Does she do stand-up? No, I know she's in Saturday Night Live. Right? I mean that's how far as it goes, and I think this is definitely a year for women to do a lot of stand-up comedies, especially when they're coming out with Ghostbusters with an all-female cast. That's interesting, right?
Interesting.
I think it's gonna be a comedy, right?
Yeah, Ghostbusters memang is comedy.
Cast, right? It's going to be a comedy.
Ghostbusters is
Right.
memang supposed to be comedy.
Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting that you brought up Ghostbusters because when they released the trailer for Ghostbusters recently, there was a lot of criticism. First of all, a lot of criticism was based around racism because Leslie Jones, the only black character in the film, she's kononnya the stupid character because the rest are all scientists. So a lot of criticism was around that also. But also I think it received a lot of flack because it's an all-female cast, whereas the traditional Ghostbusters is an all-male cast. So that's why I brought up the question earlier about whether women's comedy is a different sort of brand or different sort of taste of comedy. Some people are saying this Ghostbusters doesn't look funny at all. I mean, some people try and deflect it and said, I'm not against it being all female, I'm against it being not funny. Is it because it's all female that some people find it not funny?
I think they are so used to that all male cast, right? That they are like automatically they tend to compare it to the previous Ghostbusters movie. So when they compare it, they feel like, oh, I prefer the male one, but I think they just want to like, nope, the guy's one is better. Yeah, but when it comes to differences in jokes though, I guess the jokes that women make can tend to be quite different because our range is pretty limited. I mean, even if you watch any funny movies that is centered based on female, I would say The Heat, if you watch it, was Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy. It was hilarious, and they were the main cast. And there were my guy friends who found it really hilarious. So I don't think it's because they changed the cast entirely. I don't know about that, but if you have a movie centered on female and it can still be funny, it can be found funny by guys lah. I won't say that it's gender stereotype.
I guess it also goes down to the kind of content that you bring. Because when I think about, because I tried to give it a go. What movie was it? I think it was Sisters. By Tina Fey and Amy Fowler. So thought, I mean, these two are very hilarious individuals. So I'd give it a go and try to compare it with the male dominant market where you have Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, and people like that. On an honest opinion, it wasn't that hilarious. It wasn't that funny for me. It was like a hit and miss. But then if I think back to the male market, like the male comedians, they aren't as funny as well. Like, I mean, of course you can say like 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street. I know a lot of people may disagree with me. Like those are really good movies. But when you think of the other movies, when they make it like a bit too out of bounds, I guess, like a bit too illogical, it tends to be slapstick.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Hart's a brilliant stand-up comic, but some of his movies are terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Ride Along was a stupid movie.
I didn't even bother watching it.
Yeah.
Like Wedding Ringer was good.
I didn't watch it
Oh, you didn't watch
yeah.
it?
No, I have not watched that one.
I mean, that was good in terms of the lines that he had and content.
Okay.
But I don't know, does it apply to women as well when you guys want to make like slapstick jokes? Is slapstick jokes a thing
I think
in comedy?
it is, but Keith, like you were there at that night where there were 10 women, right? So I think most of them were slapstick jokes, no?
I wouldn't say slapstick, but definitely some of them fell into, like you said, women have a limited range. When you think female doing comedy, straight away you start thinking, oh, she's probably gonna make some vagina jokes, or like jokes about her period or something.
Related to women.
Yeah, and that's really sad that immediately people expect them to fall into that range, and some actually do fall into that range to get cheap laughs. And like we were saying earlier about how Amy Schumer, a few months back, Amy Schumer was accused of stealing jokes from a few other female comedians, and well, they went into detail about which jokes specifically they stole and all that, but I do feel this was sort of a product of the fact women have such a limited range that some jokes are gonna be like similar.
I don't know if she actually stole that joke.
Well, she
It's just
claims
the
that she
same thing
didn't.
happened to everyone. So happened, it was coincidental that the same thing happened to her, so she just used it. The thing is, the way I tried to do stand-up comedy that day was that I did it based on my own personal experiences. I did not pick all those and you notice that most girls will come up with their jokes which is based on their date out with guys and the weird guys that they have gone out with and stuff, which men also do. Men also make jokes out of the dates that they have been out with girls. So women can venture into those stuff. So I don't know why, what Keith said, they fall into that whole, period jokes and all that.
I think just to wrap it up, if any of you guys are interested to see what Mirosha did that day, I think it's on YouTube, right?
It is.
Search for
Mirosha Soms. Why are you doing this?
yeah, so search for Mirosha Soms and you can see a 3-minute set at the one mic stand. We're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about women in the entertainment industry as a whole. We'll be right back. Okay everyone, welcome back. We were talking about women in comedy before the break, so now we're gonna move into the entertainment industry as a whole, especially among child or teenage actresses, where they get put under a microscope and then they are unfairly pressured into becoming role models. What do you guys think about that?
I guess when you see people like Miley Cyrus, of course it was a different time for her when she did Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
It appealed to kids, and I had a small crush on her though.
Aww.
I mean, on TV, she's like one of my first few Disney crushes. But anyways, it's like how she grew. It's like every person trying to show that they're grown up, that they don't want to be thought of that one particular character. Like you see, Justin Bieber is taking a new angle, and his new take on music is also appealing to people who never liked the whole Bieber phase. Like people were against, in fact we had the Bieber free music era.
Yes.
So I think looking at it, just aside from being like pressured into changing themselves, is also I think because they want to show a different character that they're growing up.
Yeah, I mean, like you bring up Miley Cyrus. When Miley Cyrus was going through a lot of changes, obviously she was just a teenage girl growing up, and just like every other teenage girl in the world, she was experimenting with new things. She was, trying out different looks and stuff like that. But the problem was she was under a microscope, and some of those things probably wasn't under child friendly. And the problem was that she had so many followers that were under 12 that people said, shouldn't you be a role model? Shouldn't you be a better example? And I think that's really unfair to expect someone, probably at that time, 16, 17-year-old girl, to carry the weight of, I don't know, like half of the female population on her back.
I mean, I would say it was quite. It's unfortunate that she started off so young, that her fan base was mostly preteens, like the 10 and 12-year-olds that were just dancing to all that. And when she, started growing up, right, she just started exploring it. The biggest turning point for her was Wrecking Ball. You watch the video clip, like there was a huge controversy about how she was. I wouldn't say how she was dressed because she was not dressed. So it's like, how she was there. And I mean, that's what actually many other female stars were doing at that age. The problem was that she started off really young. So that transformation period just, took everyone by storm, and like everyone was like, oh my god, look at Miley, she's like a total wreck now and stuff. But it's just very unfortunate that she went from being Hannah Montana, like, what best of both worlds. So she went to another world, and there was just not a very suitable world lah. So
that's the next Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan was also the victims of that. I think Hilary Duff turned out okay, but the rest just
You bring up Hilary Duff and you say Hilary Duff turned out okay, but I think it's worth noting that Hilary Duff also fell out of the limelight.
Had that period where she.
No. Like yeah. I mean, she also experimented a bit, but she fell out of the limelight because she became that normal she married her childhood sweetheart. She became like a normal housewife sort of thing, and then she fell out of the limelight. So for someone like Lindsay Lohan and Miley Cyrus, and at that point you have your manager or your fans telling you, oh, you have to push boundaries, you have to change your image to keep up with the trends, or else you'll lose your fame. You have these people pressuring them into experimenting with new things to stay relevant, and then you have society pressuring you to be a good role model.
Yeah.
It's really hard to balance.
No, you can't balance.
Yeah.
You can't. You just have to pick a side. Who you want to satisfy more. That's it.
So I'll ask you straightforward, like, say the next upcoming child star, I don't follow Disney Channel now.
Not anymore. I don't either.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
say next upcoming child or teenage actress, should she be more conscious? Is it her responsibility to be more conscious of like jagaing her image for those under 12?
No.
So it's not
I
her
think
responsibility.
it's really up to the individual. I mean, we have so many things on the media that can influence people besides those child stars that turn into all these kind of inverted comma, bad influence, right? It's totally up to the people who are watching, because that is pretty much why we have common sense. Like, you are supposed to pick what to follow and what not to, and if parents are going to be blaming those celebrities that are turning their children into little monsters, and why you allowing them, exposing them into that side of the media. So it's not up to the celebrity. There has always been negativity out there. There's always been
True.
bad sort of media out there. It's up to you if you wanna be influenced by it.
That's the celebrity life, lah. You're always gonna have people trying to sensationalize your life. You have paparazzis covering your stories. But if you remember, like, child stars, remember Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Yeah.
Yeah, that actress. Now she's doing what? Star World shows.
I have no
Witch
idea what
shows.
she's doing
I
now.
don't
She is.
either.
I'm
show
sorry,
is
I
she?
forgot what show it was. But she's doing something in the industry which is related to adult humor, like more
Okay.
mature audiences, and people tend to forget that. Another example, you can see people like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
She started out
Yeah.
as a kid. Right now,
Yeah.
people just see her as this beautiful lady in the Avengers who has no superpower. So as you were bringing up, like initially, that do people get pressured to changing? Yes. But it's just that the angle of people going to which direction is very subjective, and I think they really need to think thoroughly on what kind of image they want to portray.
It's up to them, because I mean, you are out there and there's millions and billions of people viewing you.
Charmaine.
You can't please everyone. You
That's true.
can't because not everyone likes, like what Asyraf said. Now Bieber is changing his style, right? So last time he had a different fan base, and now he's changed his style. So maybe he would have lost some fans and gained some.
Society's opinions are like Facebook, YouTube videos. You will never find a YouTube video without dislikes.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
I guess if there's anything to end this on, like you guys said, it's completely up to the choices of the celebrities. I think some definitely have embraced the fact that they are a role model and think like, yeah, it's my responsibility to be a good example for young girls everywhere. And then obviously some, like Miley Cyrus, thought like, I want to change my fan base. I don't want to be known as a Disney girl anymore. I guess, yeah, it's just up to them to decide who they want to appeal to. Like you say, you can't please everyone. And yeah, so with that, probably just end this episode here. Thank you for listening again. Once again, thank you for the support that you guys all had for us for the first episode.
Yeah, it was
And
great.
yeah, and if you're back here, thank you even more. We'll see you once again next week. Yep, bye.
Alright, bye guys.
Ciao.